good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. So I know that we've got someone that's 1 o'clock in the morning that is going to stay up for this presentation. So that's very, very exciting, and I can't thank you enough. I just know that I'm coming to you today from Montcalm Community College, and spent many, many years at Central Michigan University, but am here now. And you may not have community colleges in your particular countries. We have them in Canada, but at the same time, they're two-year schools, and we offer a lot of trades and making sure that people are getting jobs when they get out of here. I also want to thank Betty Jane, who has been most helpful today, who is getting me hooked up with Zoom, and appreciate that very much. Let's move right into the presentation since we've only got a little bit of time. I want to spend some time talking about the World Leisure Organization, and then I want to talk about tourism and wellness. So that's really the 3 points that I want to bring together, and we'll end it with taking a look at some of the activities that are taking place both in China and in the US, and then ask you as participants to make a difference in your countries as it relates to leisure, when properly conceived, is a central force in enhancing the human condition. We in the World Leisure Organization are a non-governmental organization devoted to research, advocacy, and information dissemination on leisure and tourism. We are the largest organization in the world as it relates to this profession. We were established in the United States in 1956. Our most prized possession is the fact that we are a non-governmental organization with consultative statuses to the United Nations. And I will point that out to you in the next couple of slides. We're in more than 35 countries. Our offices are in Bilbao, Spain. And we have our COO, 7 staff, a tax consultant, and lawyer with us. And we have up to a 20-person board of directors. And by our bylaws, they represent and must represent all of the 6 continents. When I first joined the organization, we were all white, older gentlemen. And then we added a woman to our group. Now that has changed completely. For the first time in our history, a woman COO, a woman treasurer, a person of color who is our vice chair. 10 women and 7 men now serve on the World Leisure Board of Directors. And we are also a much younger board. So there's been a major transformation in terms of the makeup of the World Leisure Organization in terms of its board. Because we're associated with United Nations, you can see UN Declaration of Human Rights, Article 24 states that everyone has the right to rest and leisure, including reasonable limitation of working hours and periodic holidays with pay. Very, very important to us. We have to send a representative to New York. Every year we do a major report, and they come and meet with us. You've got 3 other articles. It talks about we have to have cultural life in our community and enjoy the arts. Article 31 talks about children and rest and leisure, and to engage in play and recreational appropriate to their age. We cannot.
Right there. You wanted to share your screen, right? Because we can see your slides.
What's that?
It would be easier to understand. There is a share screen.
I can't do it. My tech person is gone.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. And then older persons should have access to educational, cultural, and recreation resources to society. It's interesting to note in the United States that persons 85 and older is the fastest growing segment in the US population. When I was teaching a course in older adults or senior citizens, I can remember talking about 6,200 people per day turn 65 in this country. That has now changed. The actual number is 10,000 persons per day turn 65 in the United States. Let's move into tourism. Tourism has emerged as the world's largest composite industry. The projected growth is through 2020. I want to talk about that more as it relates to the future. Where the significant growth is going to take place is in the East Asia, Southeast Asia, and Middle East, experiencing the fastest growth rates. And now I want to spend a minute on the fastest growing segment of the travel and tourism industry. There are currently over 2,000 ports and 300 cruise ships and growing in the world today. We are now making ships in Europe and automatically, without being tested, sending to China or to the new areas that we're looking at in terms of growth as it relates to tourism. Over the coming years, the rapid growth in Asian markets will realign our ships, just as I'm suggesting to you, already happening, to Asia ports. My niece was helpful in terms of with this presentation, particularly because she works for Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. And she has the title of Traveling Sports Manager on board this ship and others like it, the Royal Caribbean. And we'll show you some pictures of that in a minute. I want to specifically talk about the Chinese because that's where some of the growth is. And you will see, and this slide points out that if one family member participates in rock climbing, for example, or surfing, then the others cheer them on. That may be different in your country, for example, and it certainly would be in North America where all the family members might participate in surfing or rock climbing, whatever the case may be. As you can see, table tennis and basketball are the most popular, but bumper cars, and remember, you're now on board a ship, think of that, and you're getting into bumper cars, and that's the most popular overall activity for the entire family. Now, gang, here is the biggest one on the waters today. Royal Caribbean Symphony of the Seas has 6,680 passengers and a crew of 2,200. I was born in a city in Canada with about 9,000 population. I currently live in a community of about 9,000 people. Think of that. You can put the entire population of the city that I currently reside in on that ship. That is the largest ship on the seas going around the world today. Now, I say that and just know that shipping has been canceled because of COVID, and they're now talking about maybe getting back into the waters in November. So currently, there are really no ships out there like this one anymore at the current time. In 2018, there was a 3.1% rise in spending as it relates to world travel. In 2019, there was a 3.9% growth, $8.8 trillion being spent by those who are traveling, and 319 million jobs in this business. By 2029, they are predicting a 100 million new jobs in the travel and tourism business. Now, we all know that at the current time, obviously with COVID, tourism is down, but there's a lot of bent up frustration. And I think if we ever get this behind us, there will be a major growth opportunities, and it may well go beyond the 3.9% increase that might even be predicted. But currently, obviously, traveling is down. The other thing which is notable here is the fact that travelers are not going to allow isolated terrorist attacks to put them off their traveling. So whether it's in Belgium or France or England or wherever, the United States, doesn't matter, wherever there is terrorism, people still will, they're predicting, go to those countries because they're not going to be stopped from their traveling opportunities with this terrorism issue that is facing us in the world. TravellandLeisure.com states that readers have enjoyed Europe, and they have in terms of their travel, but the rise is in Asia. Now, here's a new word that I was not familiar with, but it's called voluntourism, and it has become one of the most booming segments of the travel industry, from restoring coral reefs to protecting endangered animals. I think of going, and I have had the opportunity to speak in South Africa, and going and learning from the South Africans about how people are coming to kill their elephants, for example. But volunteers are now out there and in fact protecting or attempting to protect the elephants because of their tusks. But here's a true life experience that happened this February in the state of Texas, which is on the Gulf Coast. So very warm. And so this is just recent. I mean, you're talking February here. And what happened was that the sea turtles, because of a cold snap, a very cold snap for that part of the country, created the largest sea turtle record in the history. 4,500 sea turtles were at risk of dying as they were brought up to the shoreline. One turtle is 150 years old and weighs 400 pounds or 181.43 kilometers. 500 volunteers automatically showed up in Texas, and they had to be trained by virtually because you couldn't have the face-to-face. But that's the sort of thing that we're talking about. 500 volunteers dealing with 4,500 sea turtles. And I am pleased to announce that all were saved. We just watched on TV that one of the oldest ones was just let go and went back out to the Gulf of Mexico. There is one left, and that one will be going very soon back out to where they belong in the Gulf of Mexico. Tourism and hospitality in 2017 estimated that 1.6 million tourists spent around $2 billion annually on volunteer vacations. Shanghai Disneyland is the 6th Disney park in the world. Future attendance is predicted to be 30 million visitors annually. Think of Disney, you now have, as this points out in this slide, 6 Disney parks. Obviously, the 2 in the United States, were the first two in Florida and California, and then Paris. And the Paris Disney is now owned by a firm out of Saudi Arabia, but Disney has still a small part in it. Tokyo Disney and Hong Kong Disney. So those are the six theme parks that are under Disney's ownership. Shanghai Disney employs 10,000 staff. Universal Studios Beijing is predicted to open in 2020. Well, it did not. And now they're saying that it will open next month in Beijing, or at least that's their hope. But the latest is that maybe COVID will dictate that, and it won't open until much later on after COVID is behind us. But at that Universal Studios, you have the world of Harry Potter, Transformers, and Jurassic Park. Let's move into wellness. If there's one thing that maybe COVID has provided to us, that is that we are transforming the entire outdoor recreation areas. We now have medical doctors in this state who, rather than telling you you need to go and get a pill or some medicine, they are writing a prescription for you to get out in the great outdoors. Never heard of that before. Doctors are writing prescriptions to get into city parks and city trails. The news media is telling people to walk, ride a bike. And this is interesting because you can't find a bike in this country. They are selling so quickly. People are taking advantage like never before in an entire history of the great outdoors. So rollerblade, but get outside and enjoy the great outdoors. This is changing. And I think it's going to continue. With that, you have some challenges. And so let's just briefly talk about this. And you can read that. And it's sad, in my estimation, that there are now more people fighting obesity in the world than there are fighting hunger. Now think of that. The worldwide number of overweight people now tops 1 billion. The International Journal of Pediatric Obesity talks about the increase in overweight children and in our population. Now, I want you to read that, and then let me give you the latest figures, because it has changed. The data has changed in 2020. China has now overtaken the US in the number of obese adults. In rank order, China, US, and India are in the top 5 countries for obesity. But in India and China, they are number 1 and number 2 for underweight citizens. And here's one that scares me, and it comes to us from the United States. In the US, the biggest jump in obesity is from 2 to 5-year-olds, and the percent has gone from 9% to 14% in 3 years. A lot to think about. We've got a problem in this country, as the latest and newest epidemic is e-cigarettes or vaping. among teens. And by vaping, you can put anything you want inside your cigarette and smoke it. And so kids are coming to school high. Within the schools, they're going to restrooms during their day and lighting up, and vaping is becoming a major problem. And I don't know whether you have vaping in your country, but we certainly have it here, and it's a concern. And laws are being passed. But to me, here is the biggest issue. Think of this. In 2019, 70,630 Americans died from drug overdoses because of heroin and other drugs and prescription painkillers. The death rates will continue to soar. And in 2020, 81,000. So it's gone from 70,000 to 81,000 deaths in 1 year due to drug overdoses. So we have a major problem in this country as it relates to the opioid epidemic. Very, very significant. Lots of laws are being passed in Washington as it relates to this. It is a major concern. And the prediction, because of now the COVID numbers and people so bent up and torn by this whole process, that number will probably go up beyond the 81,000 of last year in terms of deaths because of drug overdoses. Let's end on a positive. Some of the newly emerged sports in China, and they may not be the same for your country, but use this slide as an example of some of the new things that are taking place in China as it relates to activities, both indoor and outdoor. In the United States, outdoor disc or frisbee golf. Now, if you look at the slides, if you can see the one golfing, right beside it is what you're aiming that disc at, like a frisbee. You throw it into that. And I don't know whether you have that in your country, but that is becoming extremely popular, all outdoors, and a very, very popular activity. It's called frisbee golf or outdoor disc golf. Pickleball, much like playing tennis or badminton, very, very popular, particularly with older adults, but also with young people. Bicycle riding. Again, if you can get a bicycle. Walking, kayaking, lacrosse, ice hockey, and fitness clubs are on the rise in the United States. Shopping malls are struggling. People aren't going to malls like they used to. So we're seeing health-related lifestyle services, including cafes, spas, fitness centers, indoor ropes courses, wax museums, Legoland, and aquariums now in malls across the United States. So a whole new change of activities, both in China and here in the US as well. And so I end with, and I guess before I do that, I just want to share with you the very latest, at least in terms of 2019, the order of outdoor activities in the United States. Running or jogging on a trail is now the #1 outdoor recreation activity in the United States. Fishing is #2. That's freshwater or saltwater. Hiking. And then road biking, mountain biking, or BMX. And BMX can be indoors or outside. And that's really moving quite fast on a dirt track oftentimes. And then camping. And so those are the latest figures as it relates to outdoor activities in the United States. So in conclusion, and this is going to give us some time to have a Q&A, we in the World Leisure will watch and take lessons from you in your countries as you develop and implement a nationwide plan in hopes of activating the human spirit, advancing the quality of life and well-being for your citizens, your communities, and your country. Again, I thank you for staying awake all this time. Hopefully it's been a presentation that you have learned a little bit from. And again, I want to thank you for your participation. Miklos, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you very much, Roger, for the great presentation. And we are sorry that we couldn't follow your slides, but hopefully you can send it to us, that we can share it and we can learn about those data which you were mentioning, that in the last time, how much our life has changed. And I think you give us some very useful information that this direction also leisure professional should get prepared and also do some more activities to keep the healthy lifestyle. Okay, any one of you has a question? Maybe Michael, how is it in Nigeria? Michael? Michael is not here. Maybe Shilu. Are you here?
Hello, everyone.
Hello? Michael is here. Okay, Michael.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm actually driving, so I was trying to connect.
Oh, okay, no problem. Okay.
Yeah, so,
how did you like the presentation?
Yeah, so far the presentation has been very great. Except I missed the first part, when he was talking about the various new activities in the United States of America. He said the first one, I missed it. Then the second one, fishing, and the third one, camping.
Yeah, that's the in the order is running or jogging.
Okay. Yes.
Freshwater or saltwater fishing. So fishing is very popular in the United States. Okay. Number 3 is hiking. And number 4 is bike riding.
Wow. Actually, in Nigeria, I think people are actually trying on the side of jogging, but not so many. Probably because of the ways of living and in Nigeria. But people are also trying to get involved in biking, but not so many. And sports, yeah, people in Nigeria love sports a lot for leisure, like football, basketball, volleyball, the major sports. Mm-hmm. So, but very few, pay much attention to running and fitness. But these days, I think there are a lot of improvements. But we are hoping to bring more awareness to the people on the importance of leisure, on how important it is to their health. So we hope with time, with the help of the WLO organization, making the WLO Youth Ambassador network strong in Nigeria, I think we can be able to do a lot with that.
Good. Thank you for those comments. Very much appreciated.
You're most welcome, sir.
Good luck to you. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You heard a lot about China. How do you like the presentation and hearing about China?
Thank you, Dr. Miklos, and thank you, Dr. Roger, for giving us diverse topics in the domain of leisure. And sure, you did mention the market of China, and I'm very proud that you mentioned that China is has a rapid growth in the world tourism market and world tourism industry. And you also mentioned the Disneyland, and I did went to the Shanghai Disneyland for once, and it's really once in a lifetime experience. So, and also I do witness the rapid growth in China, that everyone has better incomes and more time to relax, to do leisure activities, including my parents. They spend more time to do physical activities, to travel, to enjoy their time in leisure activities. So it's really meaningful, and also giving us like many useful data that which inspire me in my doctoral projects. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And do I understand you're from China?
Yeah, sure.
Exactly. Let me also commend you, and I have shared this with the mayor of Beijing. I don't know another country in the world that has a national plan for recreation and leisure than China. I am always in constant awe anytime I go to China to see the development of recreation and leisure in your country. And as I say, it's a nationwide plan. I've read that plan. I am very impressed, and I have commended the people that put that together.
Thank you so much. I'm very glad to hear that. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. There is another region of the world is Middle East, Jordan. Lena, could you follow the presentation, Lena? Lena is not responding. Okay, from Malaysia, Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, how is the present situation about tourism in Malaysia?
Well, tourism is down actually, like everybody else, because they are trying to develop back interstate travel because we can't even travel interstate now. However, they came up with a new idea. If we want to travel interstate, it must be through a tourism company to at least promote some local tourism, but international tourism is out. As for the cruise industry, which Roger Coles mentioned, what they have come up now is Singapore has started it. As you know, they are our neighboring country. They started the cruise industry. They call it cruise to nowhere. That means, and I read Malaysia is starting also, because we do have several cruise terminals. And one in my hometown, Penang, is being enlarged to accommodate those huge cruise ships. So the cruise to nowhere is that the ship doesn't land anywhere. It just goes to the, they have to go to all the protocol, whatever, SOP, all this checking or the scanning. And then just go out to the sea for a couple of days and then they just come back. There is no port of call. So this is how they are trying to revive back the cruise industry. And there's a mention about theme park. Maybe you are familiar about the Genting Group, the big Genting Group Malaysia, where they have all this cruising and the theme parks. So there's one new theme park in the Highlands, the original resort, where they are developing a Fox Studio theme park. So that's coming up. Soon going to be open soon. It's been delayed for a couple of years. I hope I can go and visit that place in the next few months because I got to cross interstate now. I can't do it. I'd like to go and have a look if I can cross the border, the Fox theme park. And as for the other leisure thing, yes, it is popular now. With a bit of the restriction ease, people are going up to hiking, and there are groups going cycling. I have a friend who runs even ballooning activities, you see. So hiking, theme parks are public parks are open, but with restrictions. So people are slowly getting out, but it's still a lot of restrictions. And as for the other thing Roger mentioned about vaping and drugs, I think there's a concern there. It's something which I got to get back to the universities to look into it. Our government has restricted smoking, but vaping is still not well restricted. There are still law. In fact, near my house, there's a shop that sells vaping. You know, so there's a concern, and
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr.
And
Please,
talk also about the youth.
Roger, to respond.
Yeah, I want to thank Dr. Lee from Malaysia. Appreciate your comments very, very much. I know in the United States that ships are now supposed to sail, if you will, come in November. Is there any talk in Malaysia as to when those cruise ships are going to leave your ports?
Singapore has started, but I read they are also starting in Malaysia. I don't know when yet they're going to start having it. But mostly here we do have the Caribbean and those under Genting, those cruise ship industry.
Right.
Yeah, it was badly affected last year, but now they are trying to have this cruise to nowhere. At least there's still something for them to cover that cost rather than nothing. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. We go to South Africa. Mary, thank you for joining. I know that you are busy. I don't know if you can speak now.
Hello, Miklos. Hello, Roger. Lovely to see you again.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you.
Yes, I think
Yes,
South Africa is in a very similar position than Nigeria because of our background and situation, but the focus in South Africa is still quite on health promotion. So throughout the last bit of last year, there was quite a move in Africa to develop policy briefs around physical activity post-COVID-19. And 4 policy briefs have been developed that specifically focus on children in schools, adults, and then persons with disabilities. And that's one part of it. In terms of activities, I think outdoor activities has definitely started to become more popular as a result of COVID because people are really looking forward to spend time outside their homes. But of course, with these restrictions, not all these activities are always possible. For instance, they restricted us from using our beaches in December. So that has a tremendous effect on how people participate in activities. For instance, you were only allowed to go on the beach if you had a license to do fishing. So a lot of people went to get licenses for fishing. So I think that might have become a bit more of a popular activity. Mm-hmm. And hiking and running and cycling also became popular, but it's not always possible for all citizens to participate in those activities due to the areas where they stay in or their social backgrounds. The tourism industry took a tremendous knock in South Africa because of the restrictions of international traveling. So the focus currently is to relook tourism for more national tourism rather than international tourism. However, we find that the cost for traveling has gone up tremendously. So even though they promote national traveling, to actually go and book yourself into a hotel or book yourself into a bed and breakfast has become very expensive. So the tourism industry is really suffering. We saw a lot of tourism operators closing down. We saw a lot of hotels. One of the biggest hotel groups in Cape Town closed down. And that kind of behavior is quite visible in the tourism industry. So I think we're still feeling the knock of COVID-19, and there's still a lot to be discussed and to research and to brainstorm as to how we're going to do things differently.
Okay.
Great comments, and it's great to hear your voice again. Thanks.
Professor, can you hear me?
Roger.
I was trying to figure out if my microphone is working.
Okay, Lina, just very shortly, okay, because we have no more time. Just wanted to
yeah.
introduce that we had a very question about tourism and Middle East,
Yeah, in Middle East, especially in
right?
Jordan, there was in March 10th new restrictions such as swimming pools, sports centers, and academies, clubs are closed, even equestrian clubs. But what makes it possible to do the physical activity that you people or tourists can rent private property such as farms or chalet, and they can do physical activities. But now it's a little bit hard because we have limited time. We have the lockdown start from 7 p.m. until 5 a.m. So yeah, and I could notice that Jordanians tends to do the physical activity and not during the afternoon. So yeah, it's a little bit hard
Yes. Yeah.
in this period of time.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Lina. Thank you very much. Roger, last comment.
Well, I apologize for you not getting those slides. And the IT person, Betty, is right here with me. We're going to send them out to you right away. But I apologize for you not having to see those slides. But hopefully the comments, and obviously by your comments, it sounds like we made a connection. So I'm very, very excited. And thanks everyone for joining us. Truly appreciate it. Miklos, thank you very kindly for organizing this entire process. And you'll get these slides very quickly.
Thank you very much, Roger. And really, we appreciate that. And you made the people enthusiastic to start discussions and also some research for the future, but also to have a call for cooperation. And your next job is we need your slides, and also in later weeks, we would like to have a short article about your career, about your thoughts, about your experiences, because we would like to edit a little booklet how you can meet professionals around the world. So thank you very much, people, for coming. And next week, we will have also another VIP, who is Johann Schröder. And Mrs. Schröder is the present chair of World Leisure Organization. So we are looking forward to listen to her presentation as well. Thank you very much again for your coming. Bye-bye.
Miklos, sorry, before we go, I saw that there's no link for next week's meeting. The next link is only set up for the 5th. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we can check. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. It was lovely seeing you, Roger.
I want to talk to you.
To me?
Okay, later on.
Bye-bye.
Okay, sir. Bye.
Bye.